Hey, how you doing? Got a 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee with a 3.6 V6. Gonna replace the spark plugs. Okay. First thing you want to do is pull up on your engine cover. Boop. It's held in by a bunch of little zits. It goes on right here and there and there. And one there. You just pull up on them. Okay. Set it aside. Okay. Next thing you want to do is remove the air filter box and the air induction tube. But before you do that, you want to blow all this dirt that's around in there. Just blow it all out of there before you take anything apart, okay? Okay, to remove the air filter box, air intake tube, undo this hose, pull it off, undo your two clamps on the side, two of them, okay? See? All right. And you keep coming over. Then you want to remove this wire harness from it. Use your door panel tool. Get in there and wiggle it up best you can. Try not to break it. This vehicle's got 100,000 on it, so it thinks brittle, so it broke it. Okay? Then you want to undo your evap connector. That one is just squeeze this end piece right here. Squeeze it and pull it off. Then you want to remove the vacuum line. And you want to lift up on these corners of it on both sides. And you can pull that up. And then I believe there's a thing on the bottom you can push up on. Well, I couldn't get the white clip off. I didn't want to break it, so I just pushed it that direction and it comes off. It slips onto this little tab here, and there's a rubber on that, and you slipped it off. So it's not on the way at the moment, so now we can remove the whole air intake assembly. Get that out of the way. It comes off as a big old tube. Okay. Now you can do these 3 spark plugs on the passenger side and on the driver's side. You gotta lift up the plenum, okay? And if you want to do an air filter now, you can do an air filter now. It's not too bad. But I'll set that aside so I don't damage it. Okay. Next I'm gonna do is remove this plenum. Okay, you want to remove the plenum. So you're gonna remove your throttle body. It's got 4 bolts. Those are 8 millimeters. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a rubber gasket behind it. Okay. You get them out. Let me get my light. And there's 2 10 millimeters on a stud that goes into the intake. Okay. See that stud sticking out? Okay, now you can see the other one right by the trans vent tube right here. See, there's the vent tube right there, and see the stud behind it? That one's got a nut on it too. So you need to take those 2 nuts off. Pull this vacuum line off right here. That was the intake, the big one. Get this piece loose so you can get in there to unplug that. Gosh, I forget. Map sensor. Forget the names of all these things. And then you got 8 millimeter screws going through the intake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You'd think there'd be 2 back here, but there's 1. Okay. So you get them loose. You can pull them out if you want. You know, if you can. No big deal. Be nice to have them out of the way. Okay. All right, before you pick the intake up, then you got 2 more 10s on 2 more studs on this side. Going into these brackets. Right here's the stud. It has a 10 millimeter on it. You take that one off. Also over here, this one's got a stud that screws into there. I took this out. I'll show you why. Okay, you need to take that 10 off. And these brackets are pretty solid, so it doesn't allow you to move the intake around at all. So you got to go down below. All right. And you see it? The stud right there? I'm right on it with the light. You can't really tell. But yeah, that nut's hitting it right now with the light. That stud, and it's got a nut on. You need to loosen that nut. And that's for this bracket. So you loose that bracket up. Now there's another nut for the other bracket in the back. Straight down there. I don't know if you can see it, but you see the bracket and then the nut. And there's a pipe that goes in front of the nut with one of those speed nuts on it. So you cannot get your wrench or socket on the nut because of the pipe. So you need to push to get a pry bar in there and pry that bracket off that pipe, off that speed nut on the stud. And then you can get your wrench in there and loosen that nut up a little bit. That's all you need, just a little bit. Okay? As for this bracket, okay? You got all your intake bolts out. You got the 2 studs over there out. Get your 5 millimeter inboard Torx. Remove this stud out of here. By taking that out, that allows you to pick this up and move it around a little bit more better. Okay? And then next, we'll see what's going on. Okay, I took all my bolts off of my intake, but I couldn't take this one out, remember, because they thread in there? So I stuck a magnet on it and pulled the bolt up, and hold the bolt up. It holds the bolt up, then I can pull my intake out a little bit, okay? See how it's out a little bit? That's how I got it right now. Now I'm gonna go a little further. I removed my oil filler tube off the driver's side valve cover. Got that little tab you push up on, and you can turn it. Okay, it pulled forward this far, pretty easy. Now I got some harnesses I gotta undo right here, and then there's a vacuum line on the back, right on this side. I gotta undo that, and then there's another wire harness clipped in over here. Okay, door panel tool. Remove the red little clip, and then press a little notch in and pull the connector off. Okay, and then find out where the vacuum line goes, and then pull that off. Okay, unplugged out of there. Vacuum line, map sensor, unplugged it, there it is. Had another little clip in it, need a door panel tool for it. Okay, that's everything. All right. Now I'm taking intake. You might want to take this bolt right there, that's the one that's hard to get to, and stick it up and thread it out just a couple turns so it stays sticking up, okay? Okay, now you're left with this insulator. Put the insulator up here, because if you stick it somewhere else, you're gonna forget to put it back in, okay? So, the coils, push the little tit down, pull off. You hear it clip. Okay, listen. You hear it clip? Okay, that means we're good. Okay, now you just need 10 millimeter and remove them. And then when you get the coils out, pull pull and twist at the same time. Get them out and then blow them out with some air. Put a rag over your intake so nothing blows in there. Do the same thing on the passenger side. Push them in and so you hear them click and pull them off, and then take your 10s, twist and pull the coils off, blow them out, and then remove your spark plugs. Those are 10mm. Here's my AC Delco ratchet, cordless. A little heavy, but aren't they all? So here it goes. Just 3/8. That's pretty good torque. It's not crazy. It's not hurting my ears. You know? I like it. So you can go to my other video I got and like it. Okay? I like it. Just so you know, just take the bolt till it gets loose, and they'll stay in there, okay? You don't have to take them all the way out. And when you get the coils out, look at them, make sure they're not saturated oil or any green corrosion or white stuff in there, okay? Remember, take your blowgun. Remember, have it covered up. If they're full of oil, then you need to do something with the tubes. The tubes are leaking on this style, okay? Okay, I got my new spark plugs. What you want to do is you want to look at the gap and the electrode, make sure it's not bent or bent way up. Make sure they look normal like that. Look at the porcelain. Rub your fingers around, look for cracks. Rub your fingers on, you got dirt in your fingers naturally. It'll go in the cracks and you'll see the cracks. So you want to do that to every spark plug. And then after you're done doing that, you want to put just a little bit of anti-seize on your threads, because otherwise they'll come out hard and be all nasty, like that. Okay? Now 5/8. I'm going to use my 6" extension, but it's a lock extension, so it doesn't keep my socket on the spark plug. So this extension will allow me to lock it on there and pull off the socket, okay? All right, and always make sure you don't leave your boot insulator in there, okay? Because sometimes they stick to the spark plug. Okay, you got your spark plugs in, and you got them torqued 12 to 14 foot-pounds. Double check your manufacturer specs. Okay. Now you got your coils. Coil, you want to put some dielectric grease inside here. And it helps prevent carbon tracking or dust tracking inside there. So you rub it around inside there. And then rub a little bit around on these little fins here to help seal it around the top for dirt. Okay. Okay, you got dielectric grease in there. Dielectric grease around the fins. Put them in there. Push them in and turn them a little bit. Oops, sorry. Push them in and turn them a little bit. And start your bolts. Just get them started. Okay, and that's when you want to put your connector on. When they're sitting up a little bit and mobile, so you can plug them in more easier. Okay. Okay, got all your coils in, all your bolts tight, and your connectors plugged in. Okay. Next, you want to take a little cover off. Take all your, these are the seals go into the lower intake, so we need to replace those. And I want to put this on here so I don't forget. Okay. All right. Sits on there. Okay, just like that. Now I'll put the new seals on there for my intake. Okay, we got the new gaskets on there. All right, turn over the intake and you look at it. You got some carbon buildup around the sides. You need to scrape that off because that'll hold the intake up a little bit, maybe cause a vacuum leak. So just scrape them off and a little sandpaper and clean them up a little bit. Okay, see it right there? Okay, cleaned up the intake. Put a little film of Sil-Glide on there just to help center the seal. Okay. Place the intake in there, hook up your big vacuum line, hook up your map sensor, and plug that little push-in clip in. And then finish pushing it in there, and you'll feel it drop in because it has 2 notches on the intake that go into the lower intake. Okay, you got your hose hooked up, your map sensor hooked up. Line up the intake with the studs, 2 studs on this side and the back. Once you got those lined up, and you come over to this side, and make sure this back one is lined up in it, okay? And then you can put your little stud back in that one and screw it back in, okay? Goes in like that, and then goes into the bracket that way, okay? Okay, you got that little stud screwed back in there. Okay, now we make sure that the intake drops down and fits perfectly in there. And then we'll put our bolts in there slowly. Remember I told you to thread that one back one up in there, 1 or 2 threads to help hold it up out of the way. Hopefully you did that. If you didn't, and you got it back in there, then good job. But by having that thread up in there, then you're not scraping it across and pulling the seal out, okay? Okay, start all your bolts, snug them up, and then go around, torque them from inside out, okay? They're like 6 foot-pounds, so they're hardly anything. They're in plastic. There's screws in the plastic, so when you tighten them up, do not strip them out. If you strip them out, there's no fixing, okay? Okay, the intake bolts are tight. Now you do the 2 studs over here, and then the 2 studs on the other side of the intake. Okay, you got your 210s over there. Got your 210s over there, and all you need to do is snug up your 13s, okay? Okay, don't forget to push this one back in. Okay. And the baby's in there. Ugh. I can't get it. All right, I'll get it. Put your oil filler in like that. Clicks in, okay. Suck the pry bar on it, and then hit it with my hand, you know, right in the middle. Pound it on, okay. Next is your throttle body. Don't forget, plug this other vacuum line in, right there. Another big one. Plug that one in. Okay. Now, put the throttle body on. Get this up out of the way. Okay, put the throttle body on it. Okay, throttle body just screws in the plastic too, so don't over torque it. Throttle body on. 4 bolts tight, like 6 foot-pounds. Just make sure they're tight, don't over tighten them. It just goes in the plastic. Put your vacuum line on, it goes on a little stub there, and then it goes on a nipple sticking out right here. Make sure it gets on there. Okay, plug it in, throttle body. Okay. Plug your evap solenoid back in. Okay. The air cleaner goes back in the same way we took it off. Don't forget about your air temp sensor. Don't forget about putting your new air filter in. Tighten up your throttle body, clamp, and the breather, okay? So now all you need to do is just start it up. After you got your intake on and all that, and see how it runs, make sure it doesn't have no vacuum leaks or misfires. If it's all good, you did a good job. If I helped you out any, please subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you.